Hello, everyone, and welcome to another video for first-time home buyers. My name is Stephen Mead with Domicile Real Estate, where we are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. This is our first-time buyer SoCal housing market update for February 5th, 2021. I can't believe I'm saying that already. This week, we're going to go through our stats like normal, but I really wanted to put something in there. One of the things that I try to give people an insight to is what is it really like in the field? I mean, ultimately, that's what we're talking about in our videos. What is it really like out there for people that are actively in the market? Most of you are probably on the sidelines right now, wondering, is now the right time for me? And you're hearing things from friends and family. As a firm, we are practicing in the field all the time with buyers, so we understand sort of really the state of the market, not just in the stats, but also kind of looking at some of the anecdotal evidence as well. And so at the end, we're going to kind of go over three ways that that we believe are ways to succeed where others might be failing as entry-level home buyers. So without further ado, we're going to bring in our stats for this week. Let me bring up the screen share here. So number one is our closed prices. And again, this is based on Los Angeles and Orange counties, here indicated below. And this is our first quartile or the 25th percentile level prices. This is meant to approximate entry level, and we have divided our graph into two things: our entry level single family home, which is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath product, and an entry level condo, which is 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And what we do is we look at these product categories across all of Los Angeles and Orange counties, and we look at all the ones that closed that are recent closes. And if we take a look at those numbers, now it's important to remember that closed prices are basically telling you where the market was 30 to 45 days ago. So pretty much from the middle to late November. And we can see a little bit of price growth here, maybe a 1% growth in that time period. And things are, a little bit of a drop here on our condos. Do not be deceived by these graphs, which look fairly flat. I can promise you they are in fact not flat, and our market is completely on fire. And in about 30 to 45 days, you will see large upward curves in these closed prices. So kind of moving forward, if we're talking about sort of our pricing here, if we look at our monthly payment based on that closed data, we still things compared to 2018 are still pretty good. It is definitely right in that zone where we've been all year. But again, remember, this is 30 to 45 days ago, but right now we've got a combination of low interest rates and rising prices. So do expect to see in the next 30 to 45 days, these numbers are going to go up. And unfortunately, we don't have a way to reveal prices until a property is closed. So when something goes into escrow, there is no way to know for sure what price that property is in escrow until it in fact closes, which is definitely a bummer if you're trying to figure out prices, which is why we use some of this other data to get an idea of where pricing is. So again, if we look at our minimum household income, you can see that actually on the condo front, things are really quite a bit better than they were in 2018 if you're a condo buyer. And I would actually still say, I think that's true today. I think that even today, with today's prices in our very, very hot market, I will tell you that I think if you're a condo buyer, you are definitely better off payment-wise today than you were almost 3 years ago. And even if you're a single-family home buyer, I think you're right about the same level maybe as you were 3 years ago. And really, this is great news. If 3 years ago, if you thought you'd missed your boat, you haven't. You are in fact paying the same amount you would have been paying 3 years ago. So you have not missed the boat. Now, this is something that really attempts to reconcile our supply and demand of properties. And the reason why I always talk about the supply-demand relationship is because this is what determines how many offers you're going to see. Are they going to go over list price? Are you going to have to see houses within 48 hours of them going on the market? All of those things that you have to do. So looking at these numbers objectively, let's break this down between our entry-level single-family homes in the blue line here, which is at 97%. By the way, not during a holiday time period where we would have reduced new listings. This is nuts to see almost 100%. And the reason why, this is actually more than 100%. And I'm going to tell you why here in a second. So if you watch our other video home market, we've gone over this a couple times, but these absorption rates are actually conservative. And what I mean by that is, if this absorption rate says 97% of the listings that came on the market in the last 2 weeks, um, if we see 97% of that number are the new escrows, meaning, gosh, almost everything going on the market is getting bought up, understand that not every home that goes on the market ends up finding a buyer. Sometimes sellers pull their homes from the market before they sell for a wide variety of reasons. They've decided not to move, for example. They can't get the price they think they want, all these reasons. So when you see a 97%, what that really means is we aren't even replenishing the inventory that is going into escrow. It means that for every home that goes into escrow, there isn't even one new home that comes onto the market. And I think it's very important to understand what that means and understand that that isn't sustainable forever. Now, if we look at our condo market, that's a bit easier. It's at 85%, but this is still very, very much a seller's market. It is still a wild market. And one of the things that I try to tell people here is, anything between 80 and 90 is very, very much a seller's market. Anything over 90 is just a hyper competitive, unsustainable in the long run, unless we get more listings, type of a market. And that's because we eventually will run out of inventory because we are burning through that inventory. So just bear that in mind. That's the kind of market that we're in for the entry-level properties. But don't fret. I have our 3-way survival guide coming up next. So this is one that I think really illustrates the point of why are we seeing what we are seeing. So if you look at this, this is our total inventory, right, in terms of the number of active and coming soon listings in these categories. So if you look here, this is in September, right? We had about 1,750 houses for entry-level single-family homes. That number rose, actually, maybe to probably about 1,800. It took a drop towards the new year, which is normal. Then it rebounded, and then the rebound just really, really fizzled out. I mean, we have some slightly good news between last week and this week. But the fact is, you're going to see that I don't see this line changing very much unless we have sellers who suddenly start jumping into the market. Normally that happens in that January time period. We kind of have an idea of what sort of a year it's going to look like. And I just don't see in the 90-day time horizon, really big changes. Hopefully I'm wrong on that, and I'm open to being wrong. And I think for buyers, that'd be a good thing to get these numbers back towards where we were in September, which, by the way, September was a very active market. It's not like it was easy in September. If we look at our condos, that's a bit more stable, but it follows the same curve. Dropped, rebounded a little bit, and then it's just kind of holding steady in this line of around 1,325 active in inventory. And these numbers just aren't changing the way that we really wanted them to. We wanted to see this bounce and see them kind of have a nice curve and rise back up to those numbers in the fall. And it's just not happening. And I don't see market fundamentals changing in any way to make that happen. Our market is not nearly as seasonal the way, snowy, cold markets are, where there's just not a lot of activity in the winter. And then the spring, things get very busy. We start to see activity pretty much through January, and it sort of just builds in this gentle crescendo. And what we're not seeing is inventory levels returning to anywhere close to where they were in the fall of last year. I think when you look at this week's supply of homes, that really sort of dials it in. Look at where we were, again, back towards September. We had almost 4 weeks of single family homes and, almost 8 weeks of condos. And look at where we are today. We have a little over 5 weeks of condos and under 3 weeks of single family homes, right? And what this means is that if no new homes hit the market, we would be gone in just under 3 weeks of single family homes. There would be none left. We would have exhausted all of the homes on the market and just burned through those. This is a new chart that we've been doing that tries to give you an idea of sort of where things are heading. And this measure isn't perfect, but it's called our 14-day still active. And so we look at all the new listings that hit the market in the last 14 days, and we look at what percentage of those are still active today. And for for our entry level condo, we saw that number drop, hit a bottom, and then bounce back up a little bit in the 70% zone. Curious what's going to happen with that next week. But look at our single family home. It went down, we got a little bit of a reprieve, and then just boy, that number is below 60%. And really what that means is that, homes are just flying off the shelves, and it's not just that we're burning through old inventory. We are burning through the new inventory very quickly, meaning it is very likely when you look at the homes available that those homes have been on the market less than 7 days. There are not a lot of houses that are sitting on the market. And, I think that just really is sort of emblematic of this market. So now that I've given you the news, the market is crazy, it's tough out there, et cetera. Don't fret. There's some ways that you can combat this and have success where others fail. So probably the biggest thing, and I tell people this in any kind of market, but it is especially important in a market like this. Do not get angry or worry about the things that you have zero control over. If you are a first-time home buyer with 5% down, and that is not something you can change, do not sit and get angry and feel bad about it. This is a trying market, and you will need all of your mental resources and emotional resources to work on getting the home that you deserve. And you can't afford to waste any of that time, energy, or headspace on being upset about the things you can't change. So that might seem like an easy one, but I'm telling you, this is a mental game in a market like this, and you really have to pay attention to that fact. Number two is to be realistic ahead of time about how much you like a particular property and where you are willing to go on that property and what things you are willing to risk. And the reason why I say this is the kind of market where you may be asked to do things that you weren't originally comfortable doing. And if you're going to agree to that, and let me give you a good example. An example is reducing your appraisal cancellation rights in a contract. Normally in a contract, if the house doesn't appraise, you get to walk away with your deposit. Well, you may be competing against buyers who are willing to waive that or reduce that in some capacity. So, that's a discussion you need to have, but you need to make sure, number one, are you doing that in a smart way? For example, is this a house that you believe will have zero trouble or a low risk of an appraisal problem? Two, do you have extra money? And three, is this house worth it? Just having that as a standard policy on every house may not really make a lot of sense. So you really want to have these conversations before you are in the moment of negotiating. The third tip is there's been a recent change in how our MLS system operates. In the Southern California area, agents are able to enter properties in as a coming soon listing. And this means it can show up in your home searches. So you can have access to see these coming soon listings. But the rule of these coming soon listings is that you cannot show them. So a lot of times you'll see a listing, it will come onto the market and it will say showings to begin a week from now. It is important, in fact, imperative, that you schedule that showing immediately when you see it. We are seeing sellers get frustrated and just saying, no more showings and throwing their arms up in the air. You do not want that to happen to you. You want to be one of those buyers seeing that showing. You can always cancel the showing appointment later if you do a drive-by on the neighborhood and you don't like it or for some other reasons. So those are basically just 3 of our tips. Obviously, we have a lot of other things that we are implementing for our clients if they are first-time home buyers and out there. So definitely feel free to reach out individually. If you would like, we're happy to help you. But yeah, it's tough out there, but it's not impossible. We have faith and we believe in your ability to become a homeowner. We will see you next week. Do not forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, write comments, hit us up separately. We love you and we are here for you.